What is up, beautiful people? It is the road to 100k month, episode 19. And this week on Thursday, I froze on a perfect setup. On Friday, I revenge traded and paid for it. And that night, I picked up this book and it exposed my weaknesses and it showed me exactly why both of those things happened in the first place. And I am so excited to be sharing some of these lessons with you guys and going over this week. Although it was a red week and it was a bad week on paper, I'm hyped as fuck, bro. I love this shit. And I'm excited for going into next week and the weeks to come. And a lot of you might already know this book, bro. I've shouted out the fucking overview to this shit so many times, and I finally have the physical book. And the things I'm going to be going over in today's episode, because I haven't even had that much of a chance to go through it, is within the first 10 to 12 pages. So let's get into this shit, bro. Starting off with kind of the macro view going into this week. The intention was, and this was one of my intentions a couple of weeks ago, but I brought it back. And I think I might keep this for the next 4 weeks. I'm not even kidding you, bro. The same intention. Normalization and detachment. Normalizing with the desired reality, normalizing the 100k month version of myself. The 4-figure, who knows, maybe 5-figure trades that I'm doing every single day. And detaching, that's the second one. Detaching from the outcome, not giving a fuck, want to hit 100k a month. Whatever happens, not giving a fuck if I win a trade or lose a trade, flowing with the fucking day and in a fucking flow state at all times. And that was my intention. And that, generally, now that I'm saying this is going to be my intention for the next 4 weeks. I'm going to commit to it. The goal was 10k across all of my accounts. That would have been, so that 10k across all of my accounts. I have 10 accounts that I'm trading. So it would have been 1k. That didn't end up being the case. We were down, I think, 60. So across all of our accounts for the week, and this week we were down 600 on all of our accounts. And our focus was to size accordingly. And this is another fucking gem that I'm going to be going over at the end of this episode because I reflected on this yesterday, on Saturday. And that is my risk management. I'm going to alter my risk management strategy and I'm going to explain how simple it is and how, at least for myself, I went over the numbers. Mathematically, it makes sense and it is profitable in the long run. But let's get into this shit, bro. I took 3 trades this week. The lowest trades I've ever taken in any given week. So I don't know how we'll go over this. 2 of those days are completely valid to not take a trade. So it's part of the markets, especially towards the start of the week and towards midweek, it was quite choppy. So I stood out and I was completely fine. But there was one day where I froze and that was on Thursday. But let's get into this. So if I don't already put up the P&L, that's the P&L. But Monday, pretty much, first observation I had is that there's so much fucking money, bro. Like, genuinely, I say this quite regularly, and it's easy for me to say this because I live in Dubai, so it's literally everywhere. But I woke up, and the first fucking thing I see as soon as I get out of my fucking bedroom is fucking helicopter. 5 minutes later, I go out onto the terrace, I see another helicopter. There's so much fucking motion out there, bro. And that day, bro, I'm not even fucking kidding you, I must have seen 5 or 6 fucking helicopters. And who the fuck knows, bro? That could be celebrities, that could be anybody in there, bro. But the intention there is that there's so much fucking money. So never forget that, guys. Whenever you think you have a certain goal and that's all you can achieve, just know there is fucking so much money, bro. It is infinite. The Federal Reserve, the money printers, the fucking central banks, they print that shit like fucking thin air. It's just paper. And actually, bringing to this point, now we're going on a little bit of a rant here. I don't know what the guy's name, but there was a video of, and I recommend everybody can search this up. I'm going to try and put up a picture of a video of this, but it's this trader. And this clip is super viral, so you might have already seen it, but rewatch it. Because I rewatched this, and you just hear it in a different fashion, or at least I did. But it is this trader who goes over that money is nothing, bro. There is no emotions behind money. Money is just a piece of fucking paper. On a screen, it's just numbers. It has no value, bro. And so the sooner you can get into that mind of thinking and not putting money at a pedestal and not putting that at such a high fucking bar, then you'll soon get it, bro. And I'm speaking this into existence. But I'm gonna put up the video and I recommend Anton. That's the fucking guy's name. Anton something. A British trader. He used to be, I think, Goldman Sachs, if I'm not mistaken. And he goes over that. So I'm gonna put up that video and I recommend everybody checks it out. But going into Monday, holy fucking intro, bro. Holy shit. Jeez, bro. Going into Monday, our bias was high time frame bullish, all-time highs above. Currently at the 1 hour gap, we had a 4 hour gap below. Would be interesting to see how price reacts to those levels, whether it be a retrace or a sign of bearish momentum to targets of previous session draws of liquidity below. But regardless, long seems to be the play today towards all-time highs. Let's see. And essentially we took no trade. So that is a 5-minute chart that I'll put up on the screen. All the way till 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Shit barely fucking moved, bro. So I didn't see a setup, didn't take a setup, got off the charts. Going into Tuesday, I actually filmed a day in a life. If you guys haven't checked that video out, that video is posted. I filmed a day in a life. Really good day, bro. I actually enjoyed that day. That was one of the days pretty much where we smacked that trade. So we just had that positive energy. And so if you guys haven't checked it out, check it out. But I posted the day in a life. We ordered this bad boy on that day. So hell yeah, I'm excited as fuck, bro. And pretty much the bias, this was such a beautiful trade, by the way, as well. Bias, we were looking bullish. Still believe we got all-time highs to hit. We retraced after a slight sell-off yesterday. Would be looking for a retrace into the 1 hour zones for longs, but let's see. Didn't end up going for longs. I actually went up for shorts. And so confluences, we turned high time frame bearish. We pulled back into the 10 minute. We inversed off the 1 minute. Previous New York draws of liquidity plus previous session draws of liquidity as my targets. Smack that shit, bro. Generally, bro, based off my data, this is like a setup for me. I should have sized bigger onto this. But when high time frame trend is towards where I'm wanting to go, we get a pullback into the 10 minute, we get an inversion, whether it's a 30-second or a 1 minute. That shit's, what I'm finding from my data is this is just bread and fucking butter, bro. So W's in the fucking chat, bro. Smack that shit. Post session, and this is another one. And this goes for no matter what your fucking strategy is, bro. If you're a trend trader, which I am, is such a good fucking way to look at it. And that is, and this indicator is what it is the high time frame. Following the high time frame will always do you good, bro. Like I remember, especially when I started to first get off on trading, I used to be on the low time frames all the fucking time, bro. Now it's like I just love the high time frame, and I'm having more of a pulse at all times towards what is the high time frame saying. And I realized this specifically as of last week. I no longer like to trade reversals. I no longer wanted to trade against the grain. Like I have a friend who messages me on IG all the time, and that's his fucking trades, bro. He'll fucking get like 1,000-point trades, and he's trading a full reversal, bro. And for me, it's like I couldn't deal with it, and it's like I don't want to trade like that. But for the most people with most strategies, and that's why I give that exception. But for most people, following the high time frame is just such a good indicator, and that's what I did. And I had a realization. W's in the fucking chat. Wednesday, I listened to a hypnosis pod. Ibrahim is a hypnotist. He actually lives in Dubai. It would be pretty sick if one day I can actually pull up to his crib and I'll be a client of his. And he actually does like some internal work with me, bro, and hypnotizes me. I've seen so many good results of hypnosis, and especially since getting more in tune with my spiritual self as well. Like again, reading books like this, understanding principles, understanding metaphysics. I really do believe in the likes of like your subconscious. I believe in, even being able to be hypnotized to rewire your beliefs. And I've seen him. I listened to that podcast. I used to watch that guy all the time. Fun fact, when I was actually a sales guy, I was actually going to be a setter for him. Back when he was like starting off early days. In the end, I actually didn't go for him, bro. I went for a different offer. But that's actually a funny story, bro. But it would be nice to link up with him, bro, because he also lives in Dubai. But bias, we recovered after yesterday sell-off with a clean V-shaped recovery out of the 4-hour gap. Only clean gap formed was the 30-minute, back at the same point as prior biases. Let's see if we end up bullish after all again. And the whole week, essentially, we just kept going back up to this range, bro. It wasn't really a conviction played trend this week, if that's even a way to describe it. Holy fuck. We just kept going back to the same point at market open, is essentially the point. And on that day, we took no trades. Once again, really good decision. I did put here recap. I could have perhaps taken an inversion off the 10-minute, but didn't for the reason that it was just too big. Would have liked to see. Yeah, no, this is actually good that I didn't take a trade. So as you guys can see, there's a 10-minute gap. The reason I didn't take it is there was a 1 minute inversion as we pulled back into the 10 minute. The reason I invalidated that trade and I didn't take that trade is the inversion was too big. If I was to enter that inversion, my risk to reward would have been fucked and it would have been a good trade. And as you guys can see through the chop, I wouldn't have hit my fucking TP anyways. Generally, it would have been horrible. And so that was a bad entry, likely wouldn't have hit anyways. And so that's it. Notes here as well. I also put here, I had no clarity on risk management. And this is what I'll go over on Saturday in a couple of days. In terms of a couple of days from then, at the end of this video, I'll mention what I'm going to be applying when it comes to my risk management. But that was Wednesday, again, so no trades. Thursday, bro. Bias, back at the same level from prior biases. Again, only high time frame PD ray is the 2 hour gap, which price did reverse out of. Markets just seem to be off this week. As I mentioned, we just kept going back to that same point, is what it is. For the most part, once again, want to say I want to be bullish, but the whole week, AM sessions have been bearish. So let's see. We took no trades. And this was, as I put here in my notes, worse than an L. You know, you guys ever get that fucking feeling, bro, whenever you don't take a trade? Or, I don't know, bro. You fucked up. You should have thought that you should have sized more. Generally, that shit hurts more than a fucking loss, bro. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I fucking, like, this shit hurt me more than if I took a cold hard loss. And I don't know. And I wish I want to study perhaps the psychology of why that is. But it's actually true, bro. Like, bro, for me at least, and I'm sure others could probably relate to this, but not taking a setup or wishing you had sized more, seeing that there was more on the table that you didn't end up getting, feels worse than losing. It's so weird, bro. But lack of execution, that was the fucking reason. We'll go over some of the principles in that book of why that was. But just lack of execution, bro. I didn't lay my balls on the fucking table. To put it in terms of the best terms that's the best terms I can think of, bro. That was the fucking case. I didn't have enough bravery. I should have fucking had more conviction, bro. Generally, bro. And essentially the recap, I'll put up the recap. This was a fucking bread and butter trade. This was such an A+ setup for my strategy as well. And I was faded, bro. I don't know what the fuck happened, bro. I was just not on point. I think part of it was bravery and lack of execution, but I think another point, I got into the charts just not locked the fuck in, bro. It's like I was not dialed. And that's rare for me, bro. And so the recap is the following. We tagged out of the 30-minute from market open and we had a beautiful V-shaped recovery off the rip. We pulled back into the 5-minute as I was waiting, and then we inversed the 1-minute, and then we had all-time highs as our targets. That's what I wanted, bro. That's what I was looking for. And generally, bro, we had actually 2 5-minute gaps. As you can see, that little 5-minute gap, I should have still counted that. And once we got the inversion, it was just a lack of execution. And as I put in the chart, that was the bread and butter trade. And that was like an A+++ setup. I could not even put it into words, bro, but we just didn't take it. And so post-session, and this goes for what I promised at the start of this video, kind of the frameworks of what I've already kind of learned from the first 10 to 12 pages of this book, is the old frequency tried getting me. And what everybody needs to understand is the old frequency is, I'm going to go over actually the 4 pillars, just so everybody can fully understand this topic. Your old frequency pretty much consists of 4 pillars. Number 1, your old frequency is usually needy. Number 2, it's sadistic. Number 3, it is scared. And number 4, it is reactive. And what you need to understand that is when you are on the journey and on the quest, and this is just pretty much the book, knuckled down into like as quick as I could probably describe this. Your old frequency wants to stay the same, bro. So the current reality that you're living in, your true subconscious self doesn't want to change. And that's the paradox of this whole situation, is that you think you want to change, but your subconscious doesn't want to change. And so the whole point is that you have to trick and outsmart reality in a way that you are in alignment with your emotions, with your mental state, with your mindset, towards the person that you want to be before you are that individual. And so that's what the term is, desired reality, where it stems from, is acting in accordance and with alignment with the individual who you want to become. In my case, my first individual that I'm going to, that I am, is the 100K month version of myself. That's my version. So I need to act in accordance and with alignment with how that person sees fit. And so the 4 principles in that book that I outlined which is number one. I'll repeat this so I got this on point. Is literally number one. Let me read this bitch. God damn, bro. Come on, bro. Holy fucking shit, bro. Just losing the flow. Yeah, number one, needy. Number two, sadistic. And number three, scared. Number four, reactive. I'll put it up on the screen. And on Friday's session as well, this is actually the one of the key points. I was triggered on all three. 3 out of 4 I was sadistic in the sense that, well, at least my old frequency tried getting me in the sense that I was frustrated. I took that first trade on Friday. I haven't even got to Friday, bro. Fuck shit, bro. How do we do the order? Let me actually go over these points actually first. But essentially the solution to this is awareness. And there was actually 3 questions within this book that when your old frequency knocks, which it does on everybody, there's 3 questions that you should constantly ask yourself. And these are fucking bars, bro. Jenny, this makes it like super tactical in the sense that there's no wishy-washy, bro. You just ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, how would the version of you in your desired reality look at this? Number 2, how would the version of you in your desired reality feel about this? And number 3, how would the version of you in your desired reality think about this? And so whenever you're challenged with one of the 4 pillars that's mentioned, you know, whether you just lost a trade and you're frustrated, whether you're in a state of reactiveness and you're reacting emotionally, whether you're needy, whether you know it or you're not, ask yourself those 4 questions. And what you'll tend to find is very quickly, you are filled with this state of peace and awareness. And one of the key solutions, this goes through the whole book, because I've already read the overview of this like fucking 40 times. Literally no exaggeration, bro. 40 fucking times. Is the best way to tackle any of these things is awareness. Being aware of these things. Being aware that when you're going on tilt. Being aware when you're slowly losing off your edge. The reason I'm able to just pinpoint all of these things that have happened across my week, as I'll do on Friday as well, is because I'm a very hyper-aware individual. I'm very aware of every detail that I'm doing, everything I'm saying, everything I'm thinking. I'm fully aware. And one of the key principles in this book and in your journey towards being in the desired reality that you wish to be is being aware of the old frequency, because that shit knocks. And essentially that's what ended up happening on Friday, and it drained into I started on Thursday and it drained into Friday. And so genuinely, bro, the way when I learned this framework and these 3 questions and these 4 principles, it was literally the perfect fucking timing, bro. Blessed by the fucking universe, as I put here. And going into Friday, starting off with the start of the day, I listened to I'm a Boss, bro, by Rick Ross, bro. Generally, bro, you guys gotta be like super selective with your music, bro. I remember I actually cleaned out my whole Spotify recently, if I don't already mention it, just towards like more cleaner music, you know. I used to listen to a bunch of shit like Future, sick rapper by the way though, I'm not gonna lie. But I did cut it off, bro, because I did realize like there is a fine line where like a song is fucking hard as fuck and it's tough. To the point where it's like, bro, it's like this shit doesn't benefit you, bro. Like popping perks and being around bad bitches, like, bro, come on, like that shit's good. Like, I'd say that's good, bro. Like that could be fun, but like, bro, like at the same time, you've got to be locked in a little. So when I say I'm a boss, the reason I say that song is when you listen to that song, listen to the lyrics, bro. The whole fucking song brainwashes you to think like I'm a boss, bro. I don't know how many times there should be a counter. If anything, I'm gonna search this up after I make this video. I'm gonna put the counter of how many times the phrase "I'm a boss" gets referenced in that song. And if you listen to shit like that and music like that, that programs your brain, bro, it's a game changer, bro. So again, a reminder for everybody, if you're not already, music is one of the easiest ways to enter your subconscious mind. And again, most people don't even know this, but an average human has anywhere from 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts every single day. A lot of those thoughts, whether you know it or you don't, are triggered by your subconscious, by the fucking music you listen to. And so if you're somebody like myself who loves music, bro, I'll probably listen to like an hour of music on average per day. It's very important that I'm very selective with what I'm listening to and what I'm pretty much putting into my brain. Super important. Friday, we released the vlog. That was W. But essentially for our bias, and this is where we fucked up, bro. Low key, bro. Back to the points of the pillars. We fucked up. High time frame, we were bullish. We had a clean 30-minute gap that price respected. anything could happen on Friday. Staying open-minded, but leaning towards longs to all-time highs again after New York PM sell-off yesterday. So again, back to that same point, but bearish, and that was the first trade. So I'm gonna try and put up a screenshot. This is from my IG because I didn't take a trade. And by the way, the bias I put there, I was on replay mode because I just I forgot to take a screenshot at the time and the trades as well. So that was from my reel, but that was the short that I took. It was a valid setup. We were high time frame leaning towards bearish. We had pulled back into the 5 minute. We inversed off the 1 minute. And, you know, I could sit here and say it's bad luck or whatever. I guess it might be, but I'm not going to complain. We could have done better in that sense, but we got wicked out by 0.25 points, bro. We got fucking wicked by a quarter of a fucking point. I'm going to put up a screenshot of what that trade ran to. That shit would have been full TP, bro. I sat there and I actually wanted to calculate it. That would have been a 6K day, bro. That would have been like a 6.5K day. Some shit like that, bro. And we got wicked by 0.25 points. My guy. Shit, bro. But I'm fine with it. But see, this is the point. But this is, and again, back to the reactiveness, the 4 principles. This is what the old frequency wants. It wants you to be needy. It wants you to fixate on the bad situation, the bad shit that's happening. It wants you to be frustrated. It wants you to be angry. And this is all the shit that I was. And traders don't even know this. I guarantee people are watching this go through the same shit, bro. And if you haven't already, you will be going through that same shit. And just know that and be aware that that is the old frequency, bro. That's the old you trying to fuck with you, bro. It's trying to get you frustrated. It's trying to make you needy. It's trying to make you reactive. And so that's what it was, bro. And so when shit like this happens, I have to sit here and ask myself those 3 questions and act within alignment of the 100K month version of myself. Yes, I got wicked out by 0.25 points, but you know, it's a blessing, bro. You know, it's a blessing. It gave me an insight towards my risk management strategy, which we're now altering going into next week. And it also just, again, gave me shined light on my weaknesses and, you know, the times where I am reactive in the markets or I get frustrated easily or whatever the points are. And then the second trade, this was on some bullshit, bro. And like I said, like 3-4 minutes after, or like 5-6, switched biases entirely. Completely, my logical sense completely drained, fucking flew away. And I was in longs all of a sudden. And so, again, just a really bad setup. Really, really bad setup. And especially being that it's Friday, just get off the charts, my guy, bro. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? And so, that was that, bro. Couldn't complain, really. And, well, I could complain, but I'm just looking at it from the positive lens. But, yeah, bro. That's the scenario, bro. And then going into Saturday, and this is the gem that I actually got out of going into Friday, is my risk management strategy. If I didn't already mention it, my risk management strategy was pretty much calculating my drawdown, dividing it by 10. So let's give an example here. If my drawdown is 2,000, I divide that by 10. That means my base risk would be $200 per trade. That's what I used to do. And so the higher my drawdown goes, the higher my balance is, the more I risk, and the less it goes, then the less I risk. And so it kind of calculates it, and it's a good way to risk. So I thought, and it may be, but I realized that I'm going to test out just taking base risks. And my hypothesis is my profits are going to be a lot more consistent, right? So instead of having a day, for example, where on Tuesday I won, and I'll put up the P&L, I think it was like a 3.2K day. That was that. And then on Friday, within 2 trades, my whole fucking P&L for the week got drained. This new system should add in a layer of making more consistent wins, consistent profits, and consistent losses, to the point where, again, I'm in profit long term. And so essentially the 2 changes I have done is I have added a minimum stop loss. So I got wicked out by 0.25 points, and I went over my data, and this is the importance of data collection that I cannot emphasize to everybody. My results are going to be different to yours depending if you have a different strategy or if you're also trading on the pullback model. But it genuinely all comes down to data collection. And like I said last episode, I have a Claude that I have programmed as my trading mentor who has all access to my data logs, all of my trade logs, all of my reflections, all of my thoughts, everything from head to toe. And it came up with something that I didn't even fucking know, but it said most of my trades that smack are a big leak of where most of my losses are are trades with a stop loss less than 8 points. I trade ES, that's what I trade, it's my bread and butter. And so that's what that's what the data showed me. Any stop loss that I'm using that's less than 8 points has a significant level of a loss than if it wasn't. A fun fact as well, any point from 10 to 12, that was my second biggest loss. And my sweet spot for where I nearly always have a win is anywhere from 8 points to 10 points and from 12 points onwards to usually around 14, 15. So these little data collection nuggets allowed me to understand that I lost that trade by 0.25 because that stop loss was 5.5. Had I had a bigger stop loss, or I think it was like 6.5, had I had a minimum 8-point stop loss minimum, I would have been saved there. And that would have been a full TP loss, full TP win. And so with this, the intention is, my hypothesis would be win rate exceeds. So win rate starts rising because you have more room to breathe. And then your profit factor also goes up. Because you're now avoiding a trade, because you're now avoiding a loss, you're now also winning. And so that's what that's what my data showed me. So that's the first thing I'm doing. And then my base risk is I'm gonna go base risk. So for the next 4 weeks, I'm also going to do this on testing. I have separated my trading style towards 2 separate options. It's either a B setup or it's either an A setup. And so a B setup, if it's a B setup matched with my set confluences, that's going to be a base risk of $200. That's what I'm putting. And so I have a screenshot that I'll put up on the screen that I made with Claude. And so whenever I have a trade, let's say I want to go for, well, actually I'll say the second one. A setups are $250. So if it's an A setup, then the base risk is $250. And so I plugged it into this Claude. And as you guys can see, it ranges anywhere from 8 points, which is my new floor of like, that's the minimum stop loss. And again, this is all testing, but this is what my data recommends, all the way to 17 points, which again, I don't think I'm going to take. I'll probably end up going to like 15, 14 max. But again, it just tells me how many contracts, if that was the trade, I need to be sizing in with. And that calculates it towards $200 or $250. And so we're going to see how that goes, bro. And I think this is actually going to make things a lot more consistent. Because I also did realize, and I think maybe this was perhaps why I even halted on Thursday, is I still need to get used to like sizing in bigger, bro. Like again, I'm having, whenever I'm winning and even losing, my days are 4-figure days. So I'm either up like 2K on the day or 3K in the day, or I'm losing like 3K in the day, 2K in the day. And so whenever I start exceeding my risk and I start sizing a little bit bigger, my psychology can kind of get in the way. So it's like I still need to get used to sizing in with that many accounts and with that much size. Which again, for the 100K month version of myself, I need to think in alignment with, no, that's not big numbers. You know, you just need to get used to it, and with soon enough time, you'll be able to size in even bigger. But that's what we're doing temporarily. And so that's pretty much it, bro. That's the reflection for this week. I'm hyped as fuck to read this book, bro. I cannot put this into words, bro. The amount of times, you guys are maybe sick of me fucking saying the overview, bro, of how many times I shouted out. Now I got the book, so hell yeah, bro. But the book, I'm hyped as fuck, bro. And I think, again, the core principle I want you guys to understand, and something, again, I learned, is that just always be aware of the old frequency. And the old frequency always tries to get you in so many ways, and everybody has their weak spots and everybody has their different ways. But if you follow those 4 principles, scared, needy, sadistic, needy, or fuck, what was the other one? Reactive, that was the 4th one. If you follow those 4 principles and you actually read the book and you see it described in True Faith, like I was reading that book, bro, and it was describing those pillars, and that was my situation to a fucking T, bro. And so if it's a situation for me and that's what it would describe to me to a T, I'm sure for somebody else reading this or reading that book, you'll probably relate to it as well and be able to get past that challenge, that hurdle. So aside from that, bro, red fucking week, but such a W week, bro. I'm genuinely hyped as fuck going into tomorrow at market open. I'm excited to use this new risk management strategy. I'm excited to level up even fucking more mentally and spiritually, and I'm hyped as fuck, bro. And so, as I always say, I hope you guys had a good week regardless of my week, and I hope going into next week you guys also have a killer week. Aside from that, keep fucking crushing.